Where were you in 1953? Were you one of those baby boomers arriving in the world every 8 seconds? Were you a Dodgers fan? Did you take the family's new Pontiac to the drive-in movies? The movies? No, of course not. Seventh-day Adventists had better things to do. They went to international youth congresses. They learned to march in Pathfinders. And they read the youth's instructor. The instructor was 101 years old. It didn't have much for juniors, and soon juniors would be everywhere. Church leaders pushed for a new magazine. Once that was voted, choosing the editor was easy.
I think one reason I got the job was that they all knew Dad, so here comes the son of Arthur Maxwell, so they assume that he will have some of the same talents. And since nothing had been done up to that point to prove it or disprove it, why, they asked me to do it.
Juniors first saw Guide on October 7, 1953.
I hate to admit it, but I can remember the very first Guide when it came out. When you opened it, it was just full of stories. There weren't any lectures.
Stories were the core, but Maxwell found other items of interest to put in Junior Guide.
Another thing that we put in there was pictures on how things are made. Like I wrote to the people who make thermometers. Another one came from a soap company on different things you can do washing your hair. That's kind of interesting, different shapes you can make your hair when you load it up with soap.
Where were you in 1970? Were you a Pathfinder? Or maybe a flower child? Did you have a G.I. Joe or a Barbie doll? Did your folks let you listen to the Beatles or only the King's Heralds? Of course, no parent would object to reading Guide magazine, which incidentally was getting a new editor.
If it wasn't the first day, that was shortly after. Someone who had been in the review a long time said, "You'll never take Lawrence Maxwell's place." He was a tremendous storyteller. It hasn't been one of my strong points. I said, well, I have no idea of taking his place. I'm just going to take my place.
He was kind of, until you really got to know him, he was a little easygoing, low-key, until he got around the young people. Then, boy, he just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Lytton introduced a modern look and gave ethnic minorities more representation. He presented memorable stories, such as Duncan, son of Malcolm, about the king who united Scotland and kept the Sabbath. One part of Guide's ministry was connecting kids with each other.
I do remember a pen pal my sister had, and she was another Korean girl. And looking back on it now, I realize what an important role Guide played, especially this pen pal section, in helping my sister and I, who were the only Korean kids in our neighborhood and in our schools, to see that Adventists can come in all colors, in all shapes, all sizes, and from all over the world.
I'd curl up in my bed with my dog, and I'd open the window, and the breezes would blow in, and I would read Guide magazine from beginning to end. And it just became part of Sabbath to me. It fits so well with everything I heard about Sabbath. It's a time to worship God. It's a time to learn about nature. It's time to learn about science and how God works in this world. And there they were. All those things were in Guide magazine.
Children are so impressionable, and when they reach out and express interest, there is a time that is prime time for kids, when they are just drinking it all in, and that is your time to go in and make things count for the eternal things.
I come from a very poor family from East Los Angeles, and when I was a child, Adventist Community Services came to our home and brought us boxes of food. And then from there, we were invited to church. When I got to church, I attended junior class. And there's where I was introduced to Guide magazine. Stories, experiential and visual stories of the journey, not just a list of beliefs and what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do, but a wonderful treatise on who Jesus is and how we live with Him every day, testimonies on how Jesus blesses people. And that's the year I attended an evangelistic crusade, and that's the year I was baptized. Guide magazine was there.
Carol Barron sends Guide to her grandchildren.
So I said, well, you tell the boys I'm going to send them Guide magazine as a little gift. I send 2, not 1 for 2 boys, 2 subscriptions to 2 fellas. And they think it's heaven came down and glory filled their soul. They love Guide magazine.
When I go out to camp meetings or wherever I might be and I find myself around young people, I am thrilled. There is so much enthusiasm. These kids are on fire, and to me that just speaks volumes for the future of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's bright beyond measure.
One reason their future is bright is because their church family cares enough to provide them with Guide, the little magazine that has a knack for combining adventure and fun and the story of salvation.
The